Just she can mine is it's done.
What is the point of attending the class?
Step I say
Like get the benefits.
if you're not deciding,
So the next generation won't get any.
I'm moving forward. So much. So are you rejecting me?
I don't buy. Girls, can we have the seats?
Yes, miss.
Sorry, one more. Then I have to think. And it could be said. AJ.
Oh, I'm pointing out. I know that.
Hello, Assalamu alaikum. Can you hear me?
Yes.
We can hear you, but we cannot see you.
Oh, you can see me. But the video is on.
Analysis and
You with the black screen. Oh, yeah, now we can see you.
no, but we already did this. Analysis and implementation. Yes, we did this. Also, ma'am, the last session that was reading the final.
Well, is the slides visible to you?
Yes, the slides are visible, but just.
And
the
Firoza
students
ma'am,
that-
are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Good. Good afternoon. I'm so happy to see you all just gathered in the university campus because I don't know, we just could not open many of the institutions, but yeah, I'm sure you are the lucky enough guys to gather here and continue the education. We are really happy. Hope you are all well.
Thank you, Professor.
Hope you all are doing well. Good. Today we are just starting our discussion on a very special day, I must say. As you all know that this is the beginning of a month of mourning for us because on this particular day, on this particular month, we lost our father of the nation because of the brutal killing or assassination by the miscreants and our father of the nation as well as his family members. So I'd like to pay tribute to the family members of father of the nation as well as to the father of the nation who has just not only given us the independence but also given us the vision and the dream to be global citizen for which we are sitting here. And students, we were almost at the fag end of a course that we were continuing, that understanding education policy. And to do that, we had several phases that we have crossed through, starting from the formulation phase of public policy. Even before that, understanding the public policy, why it is necessary and how does that work. And when we formulate any public policy, how do we go about it? Where from we start and how do we think of designing a program to address those? And then we have another important area that we discussed, how we implement the policy or the strategy that we are taking for the interest of the whole nation. And then in the next phase, we even discussed who are the key stakeholders engaged in policy for formulation process, as well as policy implementation till the end of it, and how do they contribute, or how do they play a very crucial role in policy implementation or policy cycle process. And in the last phase of our discussion, we even discussed how do we evaluate and why do we evaluate any policy when we are implementing a policy. And if you can remember, in our last class, we have just tried to identify what it is and why we are dealing with it. Oh my God, it's not moving again. Is the slides moving?
Yes.
Yeah, now it's moving. So I think you can just remember, it was a concept that we discussed in our last class, that what it is, to be very honest, we have seen that evaluation, which is used in various phases of the policy cycle process, and which is used as a tool and a procedure to accomplish basically two tasks, main tasks. And the first one was to see or examine the policy program, just to gather the relevant information needed to access the performance, including both the process and the outcome. We just want to see the program that we are implementing. We just want to collect information through that particular, tool, how it is performing. Is it really working well or not? That's the first initial important work done through evaluation. And the second one is actually disseminating or sharing those information with the policy makers, decision makers, so that inform them or that support them or that facilitate them in policy making process. That also helps them either in the after the implementation phase or during the implementation phase to make some changes if needed. That's what are the two basic purpose of dealing with this evaluation, and that's why it has been broadly defined as an analytical tool and as a procedure. If we look into it in the whole policy making process and the activities involved related to evaluation is about establishing a performance measure involving both quantitative and qualitative, identifying the key performance indicators. It also helps develop a plan for measurement and reporting. It helps in giving feedback to those involved with the tasks. I'm sure you can now relate it to the definition that we have given, because we just want to have a glimpse of it. We just want to feel how does that work, and that will ultimately help us as a policy planner or as a policy implementer when and how we will use this evaluation purpose and how best we can use it. And most importantly, our today's discussion will be at the second, we will focus on the barriers, how where we will face some trouble to deal with that evaluation, to have a complete picture of it. It also it has got also activities like report on performance. As we said that we as an analytical tool, it reports back to the policymakers, so that through some report or something like that, it evaluates the outcome of the policy. Because when you will evaluate through that tool, it will evaluate how it is working. The objective of the policy, it will just make a test whether the objective or the outcome that we are expected at the very beginning of taking the policy, are those being met, or we need something else to incorporate it? And last but not the least, it has got the activity like adapt and amend the implementation plan in the light of the evaluation result. So again, you can understand that the main purpose of this is just to do an improvement in the policy implementation, whether we need what I mean resources we need to incorporate it, or what measure we need to change. All those can be assessed, or all those can be taken decision by the policymakers or the decision makers or the implementers only through evaluation. That is the only tool that guides them to do that. It's not that just someone say that, okay, you change it, you just cannot do it. It's through that evaluation process we will do that. In the evaluation cycle, as we can see, again, it is in alignment with the definition we have shared earlier when we try to understand the types of evaluation and its nature and its characteristics and its functionalities. We try to see that even we can see it works as a monitoring or evaluation tool in the project cycle process. It tests the soundness of the project objectives, because through that evaluation, when it is reported back, they can understand whether the objective were really realistic, or it was overambitious, or can lead to the improvement in the project design through the process of selecting indicators for monitoring and through the use of designing tools. So it has got another function is about that is about incorporating views of stakeholders, as ownership brings mutual accountability. So when you will evaluate it through that evaluation process, when the tool is used and the evaluator who evaluate it, they just directly interact with the people who are implementing the policy, or who are involved in different level of policy implementation. And through that interaction, the stakeholders actually can know about their role and how it is, whether it is going right or not. They can even get their views. That's how also it helps us to redesign or design the another, if needed, any other design tool may be designed for that. And where also we can incorporate the stakeholders' view, because when we think of redesigning any tool, or revising the program, or revising the policy implementation process, stakeholders' view are also taken into account. I said that maybe in some of the phases, though it is important, at the very onset, we have to take the views from the stakeholders. But even at the during the implementation phase, if we have that evaluation process, a perfect evaluation process, there is a chance that we can take the real implementers or the stakeholders' view, so that we can rethink on developing the whole program design. And last but not the least, it's also, and there is a need for mid-course correction. That's actually mentioned just to when we implement any program, there is a suggestion that it would be good, even during the evaluation, if we review it, evaluate the program, that will ultimately put us in a advantageous position. Because if you are wrong and if you do not evaluate what you are doing, even when during the process, you will finish the work having all those loopholes. But if you have a midterm, and that's why normally in our any project implementation, or any project or program that we are implementing for a 5 or 6 years period of time, we always keep a provision for midterm evaluation, or midterm review, we call it MTR. So that midterm review helps identifying, helps evaluating the program, how it is going on, how the inputs that we have given for implementing the policy, whether it's working well or not, whether we are progressing as we have targeted at the very beginning or not. So this evaluation has got a very crucial role starting from the policy taking, because we even discussed in our last class that even before taking a policy, evaluation is important, because we have to evaluate some of the needs or assess, because identifying agenda is the initial part of policy cycle process. So even in that part also, evaluation plays a crucial role, evaluating which agenda is really crucial for taking as a priority basis in the policy level. And even during the policy implementation, we see how important it is. Even at the end of it, it has got a very crucial role, because when we complete implementing a particular policy, we just want to see what worked well and what did not work well, so that whenever we take new policy or new program, we can have that experience or we can use that experience as our resources, so that we can inform the policymakers or the system how best they can go about it later on. So the issues considered, that's why the before undertaking any evaluation, there are some questions that I would request you. Even you will find it, because I have shared with you some reading materials where I am sure you have gone through it during this phase, because we have taken a long time to take this class. By this time, I'm sure you are you have gone through those books. Even there also, you will see that when we will do evaluation, we need to ask some question to ourselves. We need to ask some question to the system. The system will ask it to themselves to know actually what we want to get through that evaluation. So the before conducting any evaluation, the one critical question is, why do we want to do that evaluation? If it is for the beginning, at the very beginning, we want to do any evaluation, we will do it for identifying the agenda. We will do it for prioritizing the area of intervention that we will address, or in the midterm, if we do any review or any evaluation, we do it at that time just to know whether the policy we are implementing and the resources or the inputs that we have brought in for policy implementation, are those working well or not? Whether we need something else to make it more effective, or at the end of if we do the evaluation at the end of any project, if we ask this question, why do we evaluate? We are evaluating at the end of this process in the policy cycle to inform the policymakers for taking their next program. The experiences, the challenges this particular policy faced from the field level, those things can be digged out as an information to inform the future intervention. So likewise, another question, how will the result be used? Again, in all these three cycles, you can just put it in three different phases. It has got different activity to different way it gives us support. Who will be influenced by the findings? Definitely at the very onset, if we do it, the stakeholders we have discussed, you can just bring in your memory or commemorate your discussion on stakeholders. The stakeholders who are engaged at the beginning phase, they will be influenced to identify or to prioritize the policies. For the midterm evaluation case, it will inform the implementer or the stakeholders who are implementing it. It will inform them that they are really going on as per targeted plan, or they are not going well, or something is not working well, which needs a revision, or something needs to be speeded up. All these things can be supported. So these are, before conducting an evaluation, we can ask this basic question, and that will ultimately inform designing your evaluation or understanding your evaluation phase in a more befitting way. And even you have to answer to those questions, and which will determine the process of evaluation. Because when you will identify or answer those questions, that will help you, because evaluation in different phases may require different kind of a use of tool, using tool to dig out or to bring out information. So that will help you to design the process of the evaluation and the steps which are needed for any my apologies, for any quantitative or qualitative data collection from the field level, and maybe even in designing the methodology for that particular evaluation to be conducted, and design of the evaluation to meet different needs of the decision makers. So by questioning ourselves, we can just find out those, and that helps us identifying those. And the challenges, even we just touched upon that area in the last class. We know that the evaluation team need to be aware of some common challenges. And definitely, if we, as a policy planner, when we go about it, we need to know about those, because some of those cannot be solved by the people, those evaluation team, which may involve the system itself. That's why they need to design it in that particular way. The first one that we can share with you, and more frequently that happens, that one organization involved no common standards for measuring recording benefits and costs. To be very honest, in some of the policy implementation, we see that many implementation organizations are involved. For example, I have given you the example of our implementation of our new curriculum. There you can see the NCTB, if you know the name of NCTB, National Curriculum and Textbook Board. They are involved in developing the curriculum framework, as well as the curriculum content and the books for, particular grade. And Directorate of Secondary and Higher Education, they are the mandated organization for implementing that curriculum through its different institutions, maybe school or colleges. And when it goes to the field level, it's the institutional head, the head teacher and the teachers, who will take it to the students, who will really ensure it at the classroom level, or make it into, turn that policy into practice. So here, just one sentence, new curriculum, but one particular thing, but it has got not only these three. When we will evaluate that, any particular grade students, at that time, you very well know that we have another evaluation mechanism, another organization involved in it. For our secondary and higher secondary level, we have got our boards, Dhaka board, Chittagong board, Kumilla board. They conduct exams and assessment process through their procedure. So you see that many different organizations are involved. Even not only the government organizations, NCTB get those books printed through different printers. As we discussed when we discussed on stakeholders, they also play a critical role. And that's why we have to keep it in mind when we do any evaluation, uh, uh, because there is many other organizations are involved, maybe more than one organization is involved. And if we do not have a common standard for measuring or reckoning the benefits or cost, that will definitely, if everyone do not have the same language to understand, everyone do not have are not on the same page, that really creates problem, even in evaluating the program structure. And another important thing, when we as a policy implementer or from the policy level, we face that lack of documentation. We just do not uh, keep record, or our documentation process is in many times very weak. And that is a big challenge, because to evaluate it, as we say, that we need that record very importantly. Otherwise, we just cannot accumulate the information, and we just cannot report back to the policymakers. And inadequacy of baseline measures and measures for success can only be made accurately by comparing the level of performance before implementation. Another thing is, you might be very well aware about it. Before we do anything, think about our if we personally, if we take a plan that I want to uh, uh, take care of my physical condition and I want to lose my weight. That's a plan I have taken. So one of the key thing is I need to take my measurement first, that what is my weight and how fat I am and where I want to reach. So in many a case, when we do the policy, we just think that, oh, okay, we are in a good shape, we start the new program. But it is really essential to take a stock, stock taking and before the start of any new program, that where we are and where do we want to reach and where are the gaps. Then that will ultimately help you understand that this was our target to reach up to that level within that specific time, but we could not. That is how it is a very critical challenge, because many a times we just overlook it, but that plays a very crucial role. I mean, the baseline data as well as the implementation phase, real-time data, those needs to be brought together to understand the gap, to understand any kind of a change that happened. Otherwise, we just cannot measure whether there has been any change or not. Sometimes some sensitivities like examining performance may lead to feeling of insecurity and grievance for those involved. Now you can relate back. You see how important all the stages that we shared and all the arena we discussed. There are many stakeholders involved in any policy implementation. And then the people, those who are mostly, engaged in designing that program, or those who have taken the initiative to implement that particular program, if that is evaluated, one of the greatest concern for that particular person or for that particular organization is that if they do not really proceed, the top level may take action against them, or may stop that particular policy implementation at that stage. So the fear of, digging out the grim picture, the pale picture of policy implementation on the part of the implementers is a critical issue, is a sensitive issue. And sometimes there are some sensitive issues which even from the policy level or from the implementation level, they do not like to share it publicly for their own sake. So that is a common thread. That's why I say that these are some common threads that as a policy planner, we need to keep in mind that we will definitely face those when we will deal with it. And the organization is too busy and it never gets it done. There should be policies to ensure that it is a normal practice. And another critical problem is that, for example, I can just give my own organization example. You see, Directorate of Secondary and Higher Education. It is responsible for more than 33,000 institutions. Just think about it. One organization looking after the health of 33,000 institutions, which involves more than 5 lakh teachers and almost 3 crore students. So you see, for such a massive involvement in the sector, which also involves those, if you have 3 crore students, that means 3 crore families are involved in it. Just imagine the number of the people that you have to satisfy. So, and the number of the works, because it is involved with transferring people, recruiting teachers, taking new policies, meeting the needs of international commitment, meeting the needs from the government level, whatever decision is coming, they're just fulfilling those, giving training, monitoring the program, providing finance to the institutions, many other activities. So sometimes they think, okay, we have just launched a program or a policy based on the policy. So, but I have got many other important work. But that's not the thing. It is even for that organization very important to keep it in mind that it is another important work to evaluate what I am doing, because that self-assessment is very important. If we do not go on for self-assessing, even as a student, you think, if you do not look back after a week, suppose you have a whole week studying on one, and if you just see that you have not learned anything or you have not gained anything from those studies, then you have to change your style of study. You have to change the materials that you are using. You may have to change the time and the resources that you are using during that time. Likewise, organizations, for organization, that evaluation, self-evaluation is very, very crucial. And all those, if we do not look back to those, all those will work as a barrier for an effective implementation, for an effective implementation of any policy. And another common challenge may be lack of cooperation by the involved agencies. I said that different agencies are involved. And when you are evaluating, you are going for collecting some information. And it is a common human nature. We are interested, okay, there is a training, do it. There is this work to be done, do it. But just giving information, okay, you just wait, man, I will give you that information later on. Sometimes that people, we may encounter that kind of a problem, lack of cooperation. So we have to ensure within the education system a congenial atmosphere to ensure cooperation among the agencies, making a culture of reporting back, making a culture of self-assessment, making it a culture within themselves to understand that this evaluation is for our good. It is not a sensitive issue, or it is not a fearful thing that we need not inform others. Because if we do that, that will ultimately hinder the effective implementation of the policy. So the understanding that, or having that kind of a mindset change is necessary to ensure that cooperation among the agencies and among the people and among the stakeholders. That's why these are the some common challenges that we found from the literature, which needs to be kept into mind. But this is, I'm not saying that this is an exhaustive list, but these are some of the common ones which will hinder the process. And the next slide, it's not very visible here, but I'm sure I will share with you the slides, and you can see it. The barriers to effective policy implementation. In that slide, you just focus on three key areas. One is the lack of data. Another one is financial resources, and lack of interest in top management for policy makers for evaluation. These are the three broad line areas which hinder the process of policy evaluation. And if you can just go through that channel, you can just see that the barriers related to data, the lack of data to characterize the baseline. As I said, that we have discussed already that we need a baseline data, but in most of the cases, we do not have the baseline data. The confidentiality of data, and someone says that, no, I do not like to share the data because of confidentiality of my own organization. But we have to identify, or we have to think critically, because there may be some confidential data, but for evaluation or for self-assessment, some data should be very public, and at least should be available to the evaluators. And lack of data about the actions implemented. And sometimes what happens, we just do the work, but we do not keep data what we have done. And the lack of data about energy consumption, and maybe we do not even take stock of how much manpower we have invested in it. Sometimes we just say, okay, we have done, conducted that training for the teachers, but that involves not only training for 1,000 teachers, but it involves training the training venue who have managed it. Their time is involved here. The managers who are involved in conducting that training, their time is involved. The trainees, those who came for training, their time and dedication is involved here. The trainers, so it is many a part that we have to take into account. But if we do not have that data, we just cannot use it when we make decision for what kind of a resources is needed. And as about the financial resources, again, sometimes we can just see that the insufficient human resources. I mean, for a particular, as we have discussed, that we do not take into account the unforeseen people, those who are involved in the process. So that will ultimately help that if we have the right kind of data, okay, for successful implementation of 1,000 people, I needed additional, 200 people's 400 man-hour activity. So it will help us to design our future program that for 4,000 people, then I have to make it 4 times of that manpower resources, whether I have that manpower or resources within the system, or if not, then I will redesign it. Not we may not take all 4,000 at one go. We may have a different design. So here again, the resources play a very crucial. And last but not the least is the lack of interest in the top management, as I shared when we discussed the common challenges that even from the top level also, or from the management level, sometimes there are some barriers that they do not want to be judged by, because in many a time you shared that are we really going back to the public openly to take their feedback, whether we are going on rightly. But I think that is again a big challenge, a big barrier, where the policymakers and the top management need to think about, because in that level, lack of policy evaluation culture among the key stakeholders, that culture hinders the process of policy correction or policy improvement or policy redesigning. We may have the key stakeholders that may fear that the evaluation shows lower result than expected. As I said you, that it may go against my performance. That's why also some from the top level, policymakers, they are least interested to do that. And lack of evaluation procedure of a regulatory framework also are the critical ones. Having said those, I think if we just keep those things in mind, I think it will be, it will just help us or guide us to address the policy evaluation from a practical point of view. And if you just place yourself as a policy implementer or as a policy planner, you can just think all those things in your mind. You can just remember those common challenges and offhand, and then you can proceed on designing a new policy. I'd like to stop here because I just wanted to dedicate this class. I thought that I will discuss more by asking, sharing with you on the whole discussion on our policy in our whole class. In the last 2 months course, what we have discussed. But till then, I have just tried to bring those during our discussion. I'd like to stop here, keeping the floor open. If anything that we need to discuss, if you want to know from the practical point of view, so that I can answer. I'd like to stop here. Thank you very much for being with me.
I had just one question. From the practical point of view, when a policy is implemented, usually after how long it is evaluated in Bangladesh or any other South Asian country?
Sorry, I just could not hear your question properly. Can you just repeat that question?
So when we implement a policy, after how long do we evaluate the policy in practical life?
Okay.
Yes.
I told you that we have got a practice in our country that whenever any project or any program we take, because maybe a big policy, we need to evaluate it. In many cases, the big policies are not evaluated in very rigorous way, the way we have discussed in practice. But when we implement a big policy like education policy, we implement it through different strategies, through different programs. Those programs are evaluated when we implement a program. A 5-year program, when it is implemented, it is mandatory we have got a government machinery called Implementation, Monitoring, and Evaluation Division. That's a separate ministry under Ministry of Planning. That particular, division evaluates the project. Yeah, after the completion of the project, they evaluated how far we have achieved the objective that was targeted through that project, how far the investment that we have done was successfully contributed to the targeted objective. So it is done normally after 5 years of the program. But there is a provision that even we can do that evaluation in between the program implementation, but very seldomly it is done. That's the common practice in our country.
So, Professor, let's say a policy is implemented. So, if the targets of the policy is achieved, will that policy will be terminated, or still that will be continued?
Very interesting question. Thank you very much. That brings us back to our opening discussion. When we started with the policy cycle process. As we said, you just try to visualize it. We showed our policy cycle process in a circular way, that it never ends. It starts with identifying agenda, then formulating the policy, then implementation of the policy, analysis and evaluation of the policy, policy revision or termination, and then again taking a new policy. So when, to be very honest, any particular policy is implemented, and very good, that's a very positive approach, that we have done it very successfully. Definitely by that time, because it has taken 5 years long time or 10 years long time to implement that particular policy. Definitely within that time, a new need will emerge, new necessity will come up. That is the thing, again, a new policy is taken and new policies designed to carry on the activity. So it is a continuous process. So once it is finished, from that end, we start with something, the further needs that is that needs to be addressed. That's the process.
So first of all, thank you the operation experiences and all of that we have shared with us. So
Sorry.
the thing I wanted to cannot hear me. Can you hear me right now?
I can hear you right now, but not earlier.
First of all, thank you so much for all the experiences and all the knowledge that you have shared with us. And the question is related to the Zahida. I think that in the policy, when it takes time for the implementation and all, after all of that, if the practitioner, for example, who will practice the bottom people, if they don't like the policies, will it be like immediately change, or we have to wait until the evaluation process is done, or what will be the suggestion that we have to do? Shall we immediately pause the policy, or shall we continue until the evaluation process has been done, or what to do in that process?
Okay, is your question related to if one particular policymaker feels that it is not working well, whether we pause it or not, right?
No. Who will practicing the policy? For example, it is for
The grassroots level
grassroots
people,
level
the population, the people on whom the policy is
I
implemented.
think
Well,
If they don't like
ideally, it should have been the case if they do not like it, and if that is not working as it is targeted. It's not that the policy will be paused. because whenever the policy is taken, as we said that the evaluation is done, stakeholders are involved, and it has been done with a good intention, because no policy is taken just abruptly. So definitely there was something good in it, but during the implementation or during the design phase, there was something wrong, which we identify during the implementation phase. That's what we discussed, that even within the when we are implementing it, that self-evaluation process within the system helps how we will improve it or how we will change it. It's not about just stopping it, but we want to make it more alluring, more acceptable to the common people. Very, if we give you a very live example, as it is a big concern right at this moment for us, that the new curriculum that we are implementing, I know that the concern, and even the whole system knows that there is a concern from many a level, from the guardian's point of view, from the teacher's point of view, from students' point of view. The students are saying that it's good, but teachers are saying we are not prepared. The parents are saying we do not know how our kids are being evaluated. So now, during the implementation process, we see, okay, this is very important that we have to inform the kind of change that we are bringing in. We have to inform it to the guardians, to the community, to the stakeholders, those who have got, who will be impacted directly or indirectly, because everyone has got a stake in education. As we said, either he's a teacher, or he's a student, or he's a father, or he's a grandfather. If he's a grandfather, his grandchild may be a student. So somehow or other they are related. That's why now we identified that we have to popularize, we have to inform that this is how the new kind of a assessment system in the new curriculum is going to take place. So informing them, convincing them is an important area. This is just one single example I am giving to you. So when we are implementing any new policy, definitely we face some challenges, and we try to mitigate those challenges as we go on, and we try to redesign and rethink how best we can make it palatable, acceptable to the people.
Other questions? Comments? I think the students have no further questions or comments.
Oh, that's good. Then their professor is now spared. No more questions.
Oh,
Professor will no more be burned with any questions. So saved.
Professor,
Okay.
just wanted to
Okay.
say thank you very much, sir, for the lecture.
Yes,
Okay,
thank you.
students.
You in person. Inshallah.
Inshallah, definitely. My apologies, because I had an intention to attend at least 1 or 2 classes in person. Unfortunately, I could not do it in this course, but I have definitely a mind to come in person and have a discussion session. I do not know, maybe let's just wait for a good time so that I can manage from my regular schedule, and I will definitely be with you. And all good wishes for you with your course, and I wish you good success. And thank you very much. You've been such a wonderful class, such a interactive class. Even if it is through online, I really enjoyed it and thoroughly enjoyed it because of your participation. Otherwise, it would not have been such a enjoying one. Thank you very much for being such a good student. Wish you all the best.
You.
Thank you
Take
for
care.
joining.